Hi, friends. Chris Kelly here. Hey, it's end of the week. Time to look at stats and what's going on in the wide world of real estate. So let's jump right in. I'm going to try for a change to keep this halfway short this week. We'll see how I do. Anyway, let's skip over here. There we go. So listing activity down week over week. Not dramatically. I mean, like I said, this when you see changes in the single digits week over week, it's really almost insignificant. That's a decent difference. I mean, the amount of the amount of sales dropping that amount, but again, I'm not in a twist over it by any stretch. This is interesting though to me. The pace of the market has. I mean, it's continued to slow, sort of consistent with 2019. Again, I like to pivot to that year because it was a good pre-COVID, nothing weird going on year, just a continuation of prior years. So, interest rates were in the 4s and 5s, and things were kind of chugging along nicely in 2019. But, the pace of the market increased then as well. But it's been increasing, not grossly, but it's definitely been increasing. The average was in the 60s and then the 70s and now the low 80s. So this is not a bad pace. It's just dramatically different than this pace, that frenetic single-digit median days on the market that we had. These numbers both dropped decently from last week. I mean, they're actually lower than this time last year. But like I said, these numbers tend to kind of bounce around, as low as the mid 5s and as high as way into the mid 6s, as low as the low 5s and as high as upwards of 6. So, I mean, that seems like a big spread, and it kind of is, but you're also talking about Portland metro wide. So, all in all, not anything dramatic. The amount of listing inventory. I mean, we're still in that less than last year, but you notice we're kind of largely leveling out on new listings week over week. Pendings are down a little bit, but we're kind of just in that place now. We've been there long enough that these numbers, the 23 versus 24 numbers, will show kind of a flatter line or a normalization. Let's see. Interesting little nugget. I'm going to include this graphic in when I email this out. But, interesting. The number one reason people move to be closer to family. Think about that. I mean, in some regards, you might say, well, yeah, sure, that's obvious. But why do people move? I mean, they move because jobs. Right, they're relocated, or they changed in career, or they started a career. But by and large, absent moving for work, usually it's family-related circumstances. So it's really unsurprising that that's the number one reason. There's a variety of reasons, if you will, that make that the number one reason. So, like I said, folks are getting older. We need to take care of mom and dad, mom or dad. And people are living longer, so there's more of that, more time with that. When COVID had a lot of people living differently than they were, and there's just been a little bit more multi-generationalism in living circumstances. That globally, that's much more of a thing. America has been very different in that regard than other parts of the world. So I think there's certainly more of that going on. But like I've said in prior weeks and with the prior graphics, there's a large segment of older buyers, the boomer generation, that will become sellers. Now, a lot of them will become buyers. Not all of them will. Some of them will become sellers and move into assisted living or adult living or senior living, I think is the word I'm looking for, that maybe doesn't involve ownership. So there'll be, something of an exodus, I think, is in terms of people are selling and not necessarily buying. But that's also followed with a massive entrance of the millennial generation, which numerically is the largest generation to date. So those folks are, as I've said, becoming of the buying age, and will continue to be that way for many, many coming years. So that's just going to become more. It's going to have more pressure, more impact on the market because the demand will get heavier. There's just going to be more of it. So more of it in the face of less inventory, and that's kind of an interesting. I don't know if it's an observation. It's just an interesting thing that I'm looking at is, this generation, this older generation, what they have to sell isn't necessarily always what these folks are going to buy or even want to buy or could buy. So it's, I think there's that disparity. Now there's everything in between. So these folks want to buy, well, these folks want to move up. So, I mean, there's the whole gamut of people in generationally speaking that, move along. Eventually folks age out and they either move down or move out of ownership. So it's but family, really, that is it makes sense when you think about it for a lot of different reasons. So anyway, that's I think that's where I'm going to leave it for now. I'm going to try to keep this a little short. So as always, we're here to help. We didn't go home when times got hard. We stayed here, we've stayed working, and we're busy. And I'm really grateful for that. But the reason that we're busy is because we're here and because we're trying and because we're reaching out. And I just want you to know that we're here for you and yours. So if something's going on, you got questions, pretty much not a day goes by where somebody's not calling me and saying, hey, I got questions. This is what I'm thinking. We're thinking about doing this, whatever it is. And I appreciate that. I enjoy the questions. I enjoy being able to help. And we love being able to help you and yours. So if there's something we can be doing, reach out. Get me here on by the phone. Still use those. Certainly through any variety of social media platforms, by email, whatever it is. If you got questions, just reach out. We're happy to help. So, all right, very good. As I always say, till the next time.